This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Welcome. John Solberg here. I get to be your host for the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less, and I absolutely love doing it. I thank you so much for listening each and every week. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate each and every one of you. We're going to take a jump back to 2008. A little bit of KCBS talk. Used to be a lot of that. Not so much now.
And as you probably heard before we jumped out for the first segment, Merl Whitebook joining me tonight to talk about some things that are related to KCBS competitions. Merl, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Greg. It's great to be here.
So, Merl, this is, I guess, the idea behind the appearance tonight is we had a thread on the BBQ Central forum in regards to garnish last week. And there was some back and forth going on as far as, you know, how judges are trained and what judges are supposed to look for and how it's supposed to be judged, so on and so forth. And from there, kind of a large thread gisting back and forth between, you know, what certain people thought, this and that. Well, that actually inspired an article that was written by one of my forum members. His name is Tony Hunter. And he is from the Indy Smokehouse Barbecue Competition Cooking Team. He's located out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, he wrote this article, and from all accounts, it was, very well written, very well received. And he said that he actually went ahead and forwarded it to the folks at the KCBS. Had you run across this article at all? It was entitled "Fairness in KCBS Judging."
I did. Tony sent that to me, and I read it, and I've had a few email conversations with Tony, thanking him for it, as he understands a few suggestions he had. We can't simply summarily implement and would require some changes in our rules and what we do. It's also been interesting. He had his article posted on several forums, and I found it equally interesting to see the response of cooks and judges from around the country, which seemed to mirror my opinion, which was he had some really good ideas. A few of them, you know, would require major overhaul of our rules and procedures, which never happens rapidly. We move slowly. That's probably good for our organization to not have rampant or substantial changes in any calendar year. Over the evolution of 20 years, obviously, our rules do change and evolve. We have a rules meeting every year where the cooks and judges are invited to email suggestions, come to the rules meeting. There's votes taken, and then those recommendations are taken to the board and either adopted or rejected. And that's how our rules historically have changed year by year.
Now, for the people that maybe weren't on the BBQ Central forum or hadn't read this article that he wrote on some of the other forums, and of course there's numerous other ones out there, would you mind if I kind of briefly went over, you know, a few of the sections, and then you can kind of weigh in on, you know, what your thoughts are about it, and then if that would be a major overhaul issue, as you stated, or if that's something that, or if it's, you know, more of a, you know, something that could be done, you know, so voted on, you know, fairly easily. Sure. Okay. So he basically started off the article by saying, you know, how he kind of got into barbecue and how he was, you know, basically happy with eating blackened ribs and with the essence of lighter fluid, but after he actually got into the art of barbecue and became a competitor and a certified judge, he started to spend a lot of time honing the craft, as a number of the competitors obviously do, and basically found, in his view, again, this is one person's view of Kansas City Barbecue Society judging, that there were perhaps some inherent issues that he wanted to address kind of in an open form letter. So the problem that he stated was that the process of KCBS barbecue judging has a serious problem, in his opinion, that proves terribly unfair to the competitors who sacrifice so much to compete. The problem is preferential bias. This means that CBJs, or certified barbecue judges, judge their entries based on what they personally prefer rather than what is actually in front of them. In other words, some judges score entries based on what entry is not instead of scoring the entry for what it is. This is a problem in all three categories: appearance, taste, and tenderness. To kind of prove his overall theory, he argues or brings up the pulled chicken portion, basically saying an example of this preferential bias would be somebody that would pull in pulled chicken rather than submitting thighs, which is more traditionally used. Recently had discussed with a number of competitors about pulled chicken, and the overwhelming response would be in the competitor's disadvantage to turn in something like that, because more or less that's not something that KCBS judges were used to seeing. But this was something that was, absolutely allowed. And as a judge, it was his job to not judge the entry, judge what the entry is not. His job was to judge the entry according to the rules. Judges should remember that the KCBS meat category is chicken, not chicken thighs or some other part. So how do you feel about that particular, example to bring up for preferential bias?
At every contest, it is mandatory that the judges who are present listen to the instructions, the CD, for that contest. The very first statement that is stated when you listen to the CD is, remember, it's not about what you like. It's judging according to the rules and procedures of Kansas City Barbecue Society. That instruction's there to address the very issue that he brings up. People get used to something. I don't know if it's a prejudicial bias, but if I'm used to something and if I see something that I'm not used to and it seems strange, you look at it when the box is open and you're like, I'm not used to seeing that. We give the judge an instruction, it's not about what you like. Judge according to the standards. The standards say any entry except for ribs may be chopped, diced, sliced, or whole. It can be presented however the cook's choice deems and is appropriate. Therefore, it is inappropriate for the judge to have that bias according to what we've instructed. One other thing that I'm hoping to add to our rules next year, and again, we have to get the CBJ or lay judges to listen to this, is please do not add or take away from the rules. Obviously, being on the board, I receive a lot of emails and I hear from people about judges who have either added or taken away from a rule. If they will apply the rules that we have, which is that is an appropriate entry, then that bias shouldn't be there. Now, am I naive enough to say that if you present something that the judge has never seen, that he's going to score it the same as something that he's used to? I would love to tell you, yes, he will. But in reality, it is a problem. I have seen several great cooks put in chopped chicken or pulled chicken, and it scored very well at the contest. Did it win? No. The times I've seen it, it didn't win grand champion or first place, but I have seen it score very well. You do take a risk as a cook when you do something extraordinary in your box. When a lot of novice cooks and some experienced cooks talk to me about what they're doing in their box, I suggest to them that unless they are certain that it will give them a competitive edge, that I discourage them from stretching that window too far. If it is so unique that it causes the judges to look at it, to question it, whether it's a legal turn-in, whether it's appropriate, whenever a judge has to question it, it could affect your scores either up or down. So I discourage a cook from going too far from the norm unless he is certain that he will gain an advantage by doing it.
But basically, that's kind of what this whole article is about. If, let's say, for instance, somebody does a pulled chicken, and without a doubt, it is by far the best chicken that anybody has in the competition, but when judges go to open it, what they're used to seeing 99.99% of the time is chicken thighs. So ultimately, they're going to see it, they're going to open up, they're going to be surprised, and most likely that, even though it could be the best chicken, it's probably not going to be the one that's chosen to win that category because of how different it looks. True or false?
Find out what Merl had to say over at the BBQCentralShow.com. This is an extremely dynamic show. There was actually a live call-in from a listener that was involved in this whole article writing thing. So there was a lot going on back then. It was, like I say, very dynamic. I do invite you to go listen to this show and find me a show that you would like me to do for you. Let me know at John, John, at the BBQCentralShow.com. And until next time, on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.